I think the challenge isn't so much with business leaders and the trackability and 70-20-10. I think the challenge is that business leaders want to see value produced by the work that's done by HR and learning and development and by training departments. And that's the critical bit. And I think that if we can separate learning from schooling and think about learning in terms of being an enabler for performance and almost turn it inside out. I often talk about 70-20-10 turns learning inside out because we're starting to look at it from the performance side. We're looking at in terms of what can we do to enable high performance. And when you start to look at it that way, in terms of determining the metrics and how you're going to be able to track things, is that a lot of the activity becomes meaningless. Why do you want to track it? Because actually if you're looking at the outputs, that's what you really want to track. And if you know what the outputs are, and the outputs really need to be stakeholder outputs, in terms of is this being effective, is what we're doing in terms of supporting and building high performance, is that feeding through into improved individual performance, improved team performance, and improved organisational performance. The judges of that are going to be the senior stakeholders. So I always say, don't try and apply learning and development metrics to 70-20-10, apply stakeholder metrics for effectiveness. If you're going to use activity measures, traditional L&D measures, use them for efficiency. Use them to determine whether you're doing things well, whether you're doing it efficiently, whether you can do it better. Well, there's a lot of research that shows that people learn most of what they need in order to do their jobs well. High performers learn most of what they learn as part of the workflow. They learn with others, they learn through experience, they learn through practice, they learn through taking time out to reflect, and they learn through building the right networks to ask the right people the right questions at the right time and get that help. So that really sort of encapsulates what 70-20-10 is about, because it's about extending learning into the workflow and not taking people out of the workflow in order to learn. So sometimes taking people out of the workflow is the most effective and the most efficient way in terms of improving performance, but mostly it isn't. And that's, for me, 70-20-10 is not so much about the numbers as about changing mindsets and thinking about how we can best develop people in an effective, efficient, quick, agile way in terms of producing high performance. That's a really good question about the impact of emergent technologies on 70-20-10. I think already the original little bit of research, the surveys that were done where the 70-20-10 appeared, was 30 years ago. Since then, organisations have flattened, people work in teams, technology has exploded, and inevitably that's going to be becoming more important. Even non-IT people have a smartphone and use that. And so I think that, again, don't think about the numbers, think about how we extend learning. The opportunities for learning wherever you are, through mobile, the opportunities for learning socially are just going to increase more and more. In fact, we're seeing organisations now starting to not even assess individuals on their performance, but assess teams on their performance. Some leading organisations are starting to do this. Some leading organisations are doing away with the annual performance review. And in fact, their view is that a performance review occurs every time a manager has a one-to-one with their report. So I think we're going to see those sorts of changes, structural changes within organisations, impact the change in terms of the ratios. And technology is interwoven there. I have no doubt with ubiquitous connectivity, where any one of us can contact anyone else at any time. That's just going to become more and more critical. And we're starting to see it through mobile, we're starting to see it through virtual reality, through all sorts of other approaches. So yeah, in answer to your question, it's going to have a significant impact without a doubt.